Okay, I want you to imagine this. You're standing up there, presenting your research, your slides look great, your topic is crystal clear, you've practiced your delivery, right? Then, someone from the back row raises their hand, stops you right in your tracks, and asks this.
Can you show how your variables are connected? And you just pause. Your heart totally drops, because deep down, in that incredibly quiet room, you realize something absolutely terrifying.
You realize that knowing your topic is actually not the same as understanding your structure. See, most researchers, they don't fail because of bad ideas. They fail because of a lack of structure. You can have a brilliant problem, fascinating variables, mountains of data, but without a map connecting them, it's just noise. And in research, if you don't have a map, you're going to get lost. So today, in this explainer, we're going to fix exactly that.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Part 1, Lost Without a Map, or Why Good Ideas Fail.
So the thing is, ideas without structure just lead to lost researchers. Think of it kind of like having all the materials to build a house, right? You've got the bricks, the wood, the cement, but absolutely no architectural plans. You have the materials, sure, but no building. Without a map to guide those materials, you're just wandering aimlessly through your own study.
Which brings us to Part 2, Your Study's Blueprint. Enter the conceptual framework.
Simply put, a conceptual framework is a representation created by you, the researcher. It shows exactly how your key variables are connected based on your own understanding of the problem. It is not just some random boxes and arrows. It answers one absolutely critical question. How does everything in my research actually fit together?
So what does this framework really do? Well, it acts as your literal blueprint. First off, it organizes your whole study. Second, it explicitly shows the relationships between your variables. And third, it guides your entire research process, from your core questions to the data you collect, right down to the analysis. It is your literal map.
Let's move on and see how this builds in Part 3, Connecting the Variables, Cause, Process, and Outcome.
I want you to imagine your study as a system. In this system, there's something that causes a change and something else that is affected by it. You have your independent variable, that's the cause, your dependent variable, the outcome, and often you've got intervening variables sitting right there in between, acting as mediators or moderators. As you're putting this together, you really need to ask yourself, what influences what? What actually comes first, and what changes because of it?
Let's map this out with a really simple, logical example directly from the source material. Say you're studying education. Step 1 is your cause, a specific teaching strategy. Step 2 is your process, or the mediator, student engagement. And Step 3 is the outcome, academic performance. Bam! Just like that, a vague idea transforms into a clear, directional path. Teaching strategy leads to student engagement, which then leads to academic performance. Suddenly, your study has real momentum.
And this brilliantly illustrates how these components actually look on paper. When you formally represent the variables and their relationships like this, it fundamentally shapes everything else you do. A formal layout of your independent, intervening, and dependent variables, it literally dictates exactly what data you need to go out and collect. It's no longer just this abstract idea, it is a structural reality.
Now for a really important pivot. Part 4, Conceptual versus Theoretical, the key distinction.
Okay, so the crucial point here is, this is where so many researchers get totally confused. A theoretical framework and a conceptual framework, they are absolutely not the same thing. A theoretical framework relies on existing theories. That's borrowed logic. It explains why things happen based on established science. But a conceptual framework is your own specific model. It is your constructed logic showing exactly how your specific immediate study is structured.
All right, moving to Part 5, Visualizing your logic. Simple, clear, and intentional.
Here is a golden rule. If it looks good but means absolutely nothing, your framework has failed. Please, whatever you do, do not fall into the trap of drawing pretty boxes and incredibly complex arrows that don't actually match your true research design. If your variables are unclear or the relationships are vague, well, your study remains completely confusing to whoever is reading it, and let's be honest, probably to you too.
Now, what's really interesting here is how the blueprint of your research instantly makes your arguments logical. A simple, intentional diagram takes your invisible thought process and just makes it visible to anyone in seconds. Remember, a strong framework is not complex. It is incredibly easy to follow. It proves to your audience that your research is solid and organized. Which brings us right back to that terrifying, sweat-inducing moment at the front of the presentation room.
The next time you sit down to work on your research, I challenge you to stop asking just what you're studying. Knowing the what is the easy part. Instead, you really need to ask yourself the tough question. Can I clearly show how everything connects?
Because a conceptual framework is so much more than just a boring academic requirement standing in your way. It is literally your thinking made visible. It is the tool that turns your scattered ideas into a structured, logical study. So, I want you to walk away with this simple, powerful memory trick. Conceptual framework equals your research map. When your map is clear, your research finally makes sense. So, taking a look at your own work today, where's your map leading you, and are you absolutely sure you've drawn the right connections?